Jon Wilner of the Mercury News keeps the line at minus 3.5-point favorites that the Pac-12, 10 current schools, will not leave the conference. Welcome to episode 185 of College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything about college football because we love everything about college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to this ever-growing channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get to the Jon Wilner mailbag of earlier. Actually, he released it yesterday. We're just getting to it right now. Jon Wilner, KSL.com, hotline mailbag, media rights and expansion timelines, how long, San Diego State's wait, and more. We're not going to be going through the whole article. We will provide a link in the description box below the video. Go ahead and read the whole thing. Jon Wilner, the great writer out in the West Coast. Let's get right to it. We just put up some bullet points here at Peek Around the Corner. I'm going to give you my thoughts as I go through the article. Give me your thoughts and comments in the comments section below the video. The question from Tanquinier, which will come first, spring or a Pac-12 media rights deal? Also, what's the absolute latest that anyone in the past has signed a new media deal? Still seems like the Pac-12 can drag this out another 6 months or so and be just fine. Jon Wilner's answer, well, spring is here and there's no deal, nor does it seem like the Pac-12 is on the brink of announcing a deal. We can speculate on the reasons for the holdup, with one possibility being the media rights piece and other being expansion. The legal aspect of drawing up contracts and formally adding members takes time. If the Pac-12 intends to land 3 planes at once, reach a media deal, sign a grant of rights agreement, and officially add new schools all at once before it announces anything, well, that could draw this saga out for several more weeks at least. Now, we know here in recent reporting from ESPN and The Athletic, it could be actually months, not just weeks, months until the Pac-12 gets a deal that all the presidents can supposedly sign. We don't know if that's the case, but it does seem reasonable to conclude the Pac-12 won't announce a media deal until the grant of rights component has been signed. Now, that's one of the many money shots, PATC money shots in this article. We don't know if that's the case. We don't know exactly what's dragging this out. It's probably a few different reasons, but it seems reasonable to conclude the Pac-12 won't announce a media deal until the grant of rights component has been signed. And I don't believe Washington, Oregon has gotten any type of deal set in front of them that they would actually sign the grant of rights. Why? Back to the article. Why? Because without the schools binding their revenue to the conference, the media deal is meaningless. And the deal itself probably depends on expansion decision because of both the media markets and the game inventory available. So we have a difficult time envisioning a scenario in which any of those pieces are handled and announced separately. To be clear, that is merely hotline speculation. On this piece, too, the conference has been radio silent. Radio silent on how they're gonna how they're gonna do this rollout. Are they gonna announce the media deal, grant of rights, everything all at once? Radio silence. Back to the article. But if nothing is announced until it's all announced, and the announcement includes formal memberships, invitations, that could be part of the holdup. And I can see that is logical, no doubt about it. Which brings us to the risk factor of a delay. Risk factor of a delay, another money shot. The hotline has argued repeatedly, Jon Wilner has argued repeatedly that time and risk move in lockstep in the realignment game. No question about it. The longer it takes to secure a media deal and lock in your membership, the greater the chance of disruption and potentially extinction. That disruption could result from external forces, economic factors, for example, or it could be internal, with a university president or two losing faith in the process or simply panicking. Or, I would add in this, they see that the deals are not going to get any better, and the deal that's potentially going to be laid in front of them isn't good right now, not good enough. I don't think Wilner put that in the article. I'm going to put it in right now. Maybe simply they lost faith in the fact that not in the process, but in the result. The result that they're ultimately going to get. Back to the article. In formal sense, you're correct. The Pac-12 could wait several more months before signing a media deal and a grant of rights agreement that could take hold in the summer of 2024. For context, consider the previous timelines. The Pac-12 announced its current deals with ESPN and Fox in May of 2011 for a contract cycle that began in July 2012. Time frame 14 months out. The Big Ten's current deal reportedly was agreed to in principle in June of 2016 for a contract cycle that began in July 2017. Timeline 13 months out. However, the conference didn't formally announce that contract until late 2017. We have labored in bringing our agreements to maturity, explained then Commissioner Jim Delaney of the Big Ten. The game selection, I won't say is tricky, but is sensitive. Any change requires you to go back. And in case anyone has forgotten, the Big Ten announced its new contract in August of 2022, after adding USC and UCLA for a contract cycle that begins in July 2023. Time frame, 11 months out. Put another way, if the Los Angeles schools hadn't announced their departures last summer, forcing the Pac-12 to accelerate its jump to the negotiating table, the conference would be in the heart of the window right now, just as it was back in 2011. As long as the presidents don't panic and external forces remain at bay, the Big Ten, the Pac-12 could wait until June or July to finalize and announce the three pieces. The risk would be substantial, but there's nothing within the contractual guts of the media rights process that prevents an agreement from being reached 11 or 12 months prior to the start of the new cycle. Next question from Kirkern. What is the deadline date for San Diego State to avoid higher exit fees from the Mountain West? Wilner's answer. I cannot speak to that issue with any certainty, but would presume any increase in exit fees probably comes either 12 or 13 months before departure. If San Diego State were to join the Pac-12 on July 1st, 2024 at the presumed start of the next media contract cycle, the university would need formally notify the Mountain West by June or July. However, we'll add one interesting twist. USC and UCLA aren't joining the Big Ten until August 2, 2024. Exactly what that means we cannot say, but it's possible that the next Pac-12 media contract cycle won't begin until August 2nd, 2024, to align the departures of the Los Angeles schools. That might create more time in the expansion process before San Diego State must notify the Mountain West. We've talked about that on Peek Around the Corner. The grant of rights, that actually does not end until the August 1st of 2024, the Pac-12 current grant of rights. Not in July 1st like it normally is in many of the other conferences. Back to the article. Are Pac-12 survival odds down to 2.5 points? That question is from UH Football Feed. The hotline odds for Pac-12 survival have been trimmed to 3.5 points and will remain there until we see substantive reason for a change. So that is a switch from Jon Wilner. Remember, he was going to keep trimming that point, the favorite 3.5 points. He was going to trim it to 3, 2.5 as the weeks and months go on. That was his formula, right? Time is a risk. Delay is a risk. But suddenly, he's going to keep it at 3.5 until we see substance reason for change. It's the most likely scenario, but not a given and subject to risk factors. Again, Jon Wilner used to say that more delay is more risk, so therefore more delay, he would bring down the 3.5 point favorite down to 3, down to 2.5, like he's been doing. He was at 5.5 at one point, brought it down to 5 point favorite, 4.5, but looks like he has changed his formula. He's just going to keep it at 3.5. We view Arizona and Colorado as the schools most likely to get anxious. I don't know if anxious is the right word. I think they might be the first schools that see their better interests lie elsewhere, because they're seeing what is being or what is not being laid out in front of them. Don't know if anxious is the right word. Arizona President Robert Robbins' public comments that he's willing to wait and let the process play out was factored into the line being set at 3.5 points and not lower. So Robert Robbins, public comment that he's willing to wait, but Robert Robbins also put out comments saying that the high majority, 70%, over 50% of the Pac-12 new media contract has to be linear. He said this is a business decision. He knows what the Big 12 number is. He's waiting for the Pac-12 number. You would think those other comments from Robbins in public would be put into factor about the 3.5 point favorites being possibly lowered to 3 points to 2.5, but Wilner did not take that action. He keeps it at 3.5. If the numbers in exposure and revenue are horrible, like projections are saying, then is the Pac-12 doomed? M. Londo 856 asks the question. Wilner says, yes, it is. And if a 9.5 magnitude earthquake strikes San Francisco, half the city will be in the ocean. Projections are one thing, and there certainly are gloomy projections about the future of the Pac-12, particularly from fans and media outlets connected to the Big 12. It's gone way beyond, and it always was way beyond, fans and media outlets connected to the Big 12. There are media outlets out there that have no connection to the Big 12. None whatsoever. And they're not reporting from a Big 12 fan standpoint or from a Pac-12 fan standpoint. They're reporting because their sources are telling them information, and it is. Pac-12 is on the knife's edge. There is gloomy projections right now. We've seen them here at Peek Around the Corner, and we're definitely not connected to the Big 12 or any other media outlets. So again, I think this is putting out there a shiny object for everybody to deflect on the real issues of the Pac-12. There are gloomy right now, currently, there are gloomy projections, and that is why they haven't struck the deal yet. Back to the article. We won't discount the potential for bad outcome to the Pac-12 negotiations. That's one reason the survival line mentioned above is merely 3.5 points. But generally, nothing has changed over these 9 months. I completely disagree with that. Commissioner George Kliavkoff was hired to negotiate the best media deal possible for the conference. While the circumstances shift on June 30th, the director remains in place. Either he does or he doesn't. The rest of the article, the rest of the mailbag, you can read it at the link provided in the description box. That last part, George Kliavkoff had all the reasons in the world to sign the deal, to agree to the deal with Fox Sports and ESPN the first time they offered him in that exclusive window. But he overvalued the conference. He overvalued the conference in the current marketplace, in the current media market. The future at that time, in the fall, in the late summer of 2022, George Kliavkoff did not understand where the media market was going. It was heading into a recession. We knew it at Peek Around the Corner. We talked about it in live shows, on episodes here at Peek Around the Corner. George Kliavkoff failed. He failed in realizing what was going on in the market. So he overvalued the conference. So nothing has changed in these 9 months. We beg to differ at Peek Around the Corner. Give me your thoughts and comments in the comments section. But we beg to differ. A lot of things have come and gone in 9 months. Your ability to grab the best windows possible for your Pac-12 content with your current media partners, ESPN and Fox Sports, that is gone. The deals are not getting any better. The offers are not getting anybody. You have not been able to present a comprehensive deal that anyone could sign in the Pac-12 in front of the Pac-12 presidents for 9 months. That has changed. Trust has changed in the Pac-12. You had the California Board of Regents, Rich Thiede, talking about the California plan to have California, Oregon, Washington, Stanford go to the Big Ten. He announced this. He told reporters this on December 14th after the Calamoni situation played out where UCLA now has to pay a tax every year to play in the Big Ten, to give some money over to the University of California, Berkeley. When Rich Thiede came out and said that, fracture in the Pac-12, growing distrust. Now the Athletic says there's a line drawn between parties in the Pac-12 in regards to the importance of getting a deal done now versus going further and further into the calendar. There's a fracture in the Pac-12. A lot of things have changed in the 9 months. And the biggest thing that has changed in the 9 months is the media market. It's in a recession. Layoffs, ESPN, Amazon, nobody's throwing the offers to the Pac-12 that they need to keep the conference together. And that media market, if they're in a recession, and it's not going to get any better. It's not going to get better soon enough to save the Pac-12. A lot of things have changed in the last 9 months. Give me your thoughts in the comments section. I read them all. Until next time. From all of us at PATC to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.